Hi all, good evening. Hope I am audible. Seems like Sunday evening, you all are chilling out. Seems like, how many of you are really serious in life? Let me see. Only those who are serious in life, please switch on your video. Otherwise, please don't switch on your video. Not audio, your video. Let me see how many of you are really serious in your life. कैसे हो आप लोग भाइयों बहनों? Good. I can see cadets and Makan. How do you pronounce this? And Makankuri, Cadet Shivani, Chandra Joseph. So only few are really serious in your life. Others are not serious. Huh? Don't switch on camera for me because this program is for those people who are really serious in your life. अगर आप लोग आपके जिंदगी में not just for NCC, not for becoming a best cadet, अगर आपके जिंदगी में आप लोग serious हो, then only watch this program. Otherwise, don't waste your time. ना आपका टाइम वेस्ट मत करो ना हमारा. So अगर आप लोग सीरियस हो तो फिर switch on your camera for next half an hour because this program might change your life. ये जो yeah, Anirudh, how are you, man? Long time. Good. Good
All
to
good,
see
all
you.
good. How are you, sir?
All good. How's the temperature over there at
Oh
Delhi?
yeah, it's slowly dropping. It's pretty cold today. Kind
Good,
of
good.
shivering a bit.
Nice, nice. So I'm just warming up the. I think seems like we Sunday evening, Sunday night, people are just chilling out. Anyway, respective, only those people who are serious in life are entitled for this program, are privileged to attend this program. ठीक है, अगर कुछ लोगों की जिंदगी अगर इसमें से बदल सकते हो तो फिर you guys be very listen to Anirudh. He has turned the Kerala's phase altogether in 2021. COVID times, it was a big struggle for the entire directorates across India, but he could bring a laurel to the Kerala and Lakshadweep Directorate, facing the very severe conditions when the entire world was going through the pandemic. So, good evening to all ladies and gentlemen, to all my dear NCC cadets across the country. Just for the sake of we updating, if you can just put in the chat box कौन है आप लोग battalion आपका battalion, if you can just mention your group, directorate, college, whatever you would like to mention, just ping who is who. Like I don't know, I can only recognize few faces. Since morning I've been getting so many queries, sir इस program का link भेज दीजिए मुझे भी attend करना है. बहुत सारे लोगों ने पूछा बट किसी को दिख नहीं रहे यहाँ पे. ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं. Irrespective, we will keep the recordings for those who missed it, because why we started this initiative is because हमारे डायरेक्टरेट से एक पर्टिकुलर ग्रुप ने मुझे पूछा गया, सर जरा मोटिवेशन दे दो बीसी लोगों के लिए. आप तो बीसी था 2006 में, फिर आप नेवी में ऑफिसर बने थे, तो थोड़ा बहुत मोटिवेशन दे दो. तो मैंने सोचा जस्ट फॉर अ ग्रुप it is not fair, right? So there are so many cadets getting trained for this RDC across Kerala and Lakshadweep Directorate, even across the country. So मैंने सोचा ऐसा एक प्रोग्राम शुरू करते हैं ताकि आप लोग, अगर आप RDC या TSC या BSC या NSC जो भी हो, जहाँ पे भी हो, कौन से कैंप के लिए आप ट्राई कर रहे हो, अगर आप लोग उसमें, why I'm mixing my English and Hindi because कुछ लोगों ने last time they have given me a comment that sir आप जरा हिंदी में भी बोल दीजिए, हमें इंग्लिश जरा वीक है. So I'm mixing everything so that you people, but don't tell me to speak in Malayalam. Otherwise I will get all the bullshits from North Indian cadets. So don't worry, we will try to mix in Hindi and English. primarily we will focus in English. Why? Because your interview you have to give in English. So if you are weak in English, please pull up your socks. I know we all are good in our mother tongue, whichever language, whichever state you are from. But for the interview, whether it is BC interview or whether it is your SSB interview or any interview in your life which you interview means a good job if you are searching for, or if you are planning to go for SSB, you will be primarily speaking in English and you have to speak in English. So don't worry if you are not that good in English. Your fluency doesn't matter. Whatever you are speaking, it has to be clear and crisp to the audience. Okay. So last week, you got some experience sharing from my side. I thought I will pull in all the BCs from across the directorates so that it will help you all in learning something from them. Because my perception, Anirudh's perception, Kuruvila's perception, or whether it is Bhavana or whomsoever it may be, whomsoever has become BCs across the country, their way of studies or how they perceive. Kaun hai? Who would like to speak? Request if you can mute yourself for next half an hour. Don't worry. Just half an hour. Open your ears and listen to what Anirudh would like to speak, because when the world was going through severe stage, he could become a best cadet and could receive the baton and the medal and the trophy from the respective Prime Minister Modi ji. So let's listen to Anirudh, who was the best cadet, All India Naval Best Cadet for the year 2021. So Anirudh, we welcome you to the show. You are now onto the spotlight.
Thank you, sir.
It's a privilege for us to have you as our guest today. I don't know how many of you are aware of this gentleman, Anirudh. He was, how many of you have seen this person, or at least you are aware that Anirudh was 2021 Best Cadet? Except Kerala Lakshadweep Directorate, anyone aware of this gentleman? I know Meenakshi, you know it. You don't have to raise your hand. I'm asking for those outsiders who are from, apart from K&L, anybody aware of this gentleman, Anirudh? Okay. So for those who are not aware, he was a cadet from Sacred Arts College, Ernakulam. I hope you all are at least aware of Cochin, Ernakulam. सुना होगा आप लोगों ने North Indians. तो ऐसा एक जगह है Ernakulam, Cochin. Beautiful district. Please mute yourself, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not get distracted. Listen to what Anirudh like to speak. Okay. So okay, we will get an introduction from Anirudh only. Anirudh, a brief intro about yourself, where you studied, which was your subject, and what you're doing now.
Sure, sir. So good evening, everyone. My name is Anirudh Bhaskaran. As sir said, I attended RDC 2021, and I was a participant of the Best Cadet competition where I got the gold medal. I also participated in the Republic Day Rajpath Parade, and I was also a part of the Prime Minister's rally contingent. So I was a very lucky cadet in terms of that. After RDC, I attended the Overseas Deployment Camp, which is a naval wing specific camp to Mauritius, Seychelles, and Madagascar. And I've been born and raised in Kerala. I studied in Vidyodaya School, and after that, I did my graduation from Sacred Art College in economics. And by far, NCC is, I'd say, given me a lot in terms of who I've become now personally and how I've developed as a person. So with regards to that, I would say those of you who have decided to go for the Best Cadet competition, it is definitely not easy. It is a very challenging task. It is a long journey, as sir would know. And I would say by far something that made me the most proud moment for me in NCC was when both my juniors were also All India Best Cadets. They're here today. Kuruvilla, who was the gold medalist in 2022, and Meenakshi, who was the silver medalist in the SW category. So with regards to that, the first decision that you take towards going towards the best cadet, that is, I would say, the most important one. So I'll just also what I'm doing now, I'm currently preparing for my commercial pilot license exams. I'm in Delhi. So I'll be here for the next few months preparing for those exams. And yeah, hopefully one day I'll be an airline pilot. Moving on to RDC. So for me, it was
Wait,
very clear. Yes, sir.
Anirudh, if you tell everything in one glance, they will get bored. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's make it a candid Q&A type.
Okay.
Okay, so a brief intro was Anirudh has given you all. So that's I hope you all have heard that he is from Sacred Arts College. Okay, Anirudh, question to you: why did you join NCC?
So I've always been very fascinated by the armed forces. My granddad was a navigator in the Indian Air Force. My initial plan was actually to join the armed forces. So many people don't know this about me, but I gave the NDA exam thrice, and all three times I couldn't clear it. So that is why when I joined college, for me, NCC was an obvious choice because, okay, if not NDA, then after my graduation, I'm going to join the armed forces. And when it came to college, I initially thought, okay, I'll join the army wing. But then I thought, okay, the naval wing looks pretty good. The seniors are very highly motivated. And the naval wing also coincidentally had the highest number of RDC cadets. So seeing so many cadets who had done RDC, it was pretty clear for me before joining NCC that I never knew what best cadet was. I never knew there was a I knew there was a Rajpath parade, but I didn't know NCC cadets could go for it. And I didn't know what Prime Minister's rally was. But for me, it was pretty clear that as soon as I join NCC, my only goal is going to be RDC. So that was what my motivation was to join NCC.
That's great. Now, if you wouldn't have joined NCC, if you would have been a normal student and you would have completed your 3 years, do you think that it would have been like you have imbibed so many qualities as a cadet? If you wouldn't have been a cadet, a normal student, how you would have felt today?
Honestly, so I can't even picture that kind of situation, where I haven't gone through NCC, because NCC has been such an integral part of my college life that when everybody was at home sitting, so I had RDC during COVID, like peak of COVID, when nobody knew what it was, lockdowns, and there were queues to get into the supermarket. So in a period like that, when the entire country was shut down, I had the opportunity to come to Delhi, to march in front of the Prime Minister, receive the gold medal. I had the opportunity to be a part of the Republic Day parade. So as a part of overseas deployment camp, I had gone to 3 countries. So this was all in a span of 3 years, just 3 years of NCC. So I honestly couldn't see myself as a normal student. I feel like my college life would have been I'd say just very streamlined, just academics, and it would have been online class. I wouldn't have had any good stories to take away from college. So I would say in that way, NCC is what completed my college life.
That's great. What all qualities you imbibed through MCC?
So I'd say prior to NCC, I was slightly, if I'm being completely honest, I was a pretty arrogant person. I was not very, even though I felt I was confident, I was not actually confident in terms of my ability. So coming to NCC, NCC forces you to work as a team. There's no I in NCC. It is always about your co-cadets, your seniors, and it is all about teamwork. So in NCC, I'd say the most important thing I learned was to depend on other people, because otherwise I was somebody who would always prefer doing things by myself. I'd be very, just because of my ego, I'd not ask for help. So when I came to NCC, I realized there's no point having, being this egoistic. You have to, level yourself out. You have to depend on others. Others also have to be able to depend on you. So because whenever you mess up, if anybody does something wrong, everybody does the punishment. Everybody goes through Ragda. It's not just that cadet who made the mistake that gets Ragda. So that way, initially, I used to get irritated. Oh, this guy's made a mistake. Now I'm doing Ragda. But then I realized I'm also making mistakes and others are doing it for me. So all these kind of things, I'd say overall, it has made me a much more mature person. Going through RDC, that entire experience has made me mentally stronger. It has given, I'd say NCC ultimately has given me a lot of clarity as to who I am as a person, and it has given me a lot of direction in life.
That's great. If you wouldn't have joined NCC, out of 10, what you would have rated yourself? And now you know the Anirudh after 3 years of NCC, you have rated yourself. So what would be that, just the rating figure?
I'd say a solid 5, sir.
Like this RDC, choosing this RDC or this camp for Republic Day camp, was that a decision you chose yourself, or it was something which seniors have told you you should go?
So before I joined NCC, I'd actually, and I'd say this is important for everybody, is doing your research. So many people, they tend to join NCC, whatever knowledge they get is primarily from their seniors. But I'd say today, in the day and age of where you have the internet, you have webinars like this, you can reach out to anyone. You can reach out to any of the past best cadets. Um, so for me personally, seeing my seniors who had done RDC, that was an inspiration. But simultaneously, they never pushed me towards it. In fact, my seniors wanted me to go for Naval camp, which is the Naval NCC camp. But for me, I was pretty head set on, RDC is my goal and I'll only do RDC. There's nothing for me other than RDC. So when COVID happened and when all these camps were cancelled, I was definitely very heartbroken. But RDC for me, the only thing I knew about RDC finally after researching was that there was a Republic Day Rajpath parade and there was also the youth exchange program. So I told my seniors, so my seniors, they asked us, which are not camps are you guys interested in? So I said, sir, for me, ultimately, I just want to go for RDC and I want to do the Rajpath parade and I want to go for YEP. I never knew what best cadet was. I didn't know what Prime Minister's rally was. So that was my initial goal.
Now, preparing for RDC, did you start your preparations from first year, or it's just one second year you got the option, you just jumped into it?
So coming to preparation, I'd say I was passively preparing for it. I never knew what best cadet competition had, even though I had searched about it and all that. I didn't know actually what they assess you on. I knew there was a written exam, but I didn't know what came in the written exam. So I spoke to my seniors. So my seniors told me in first year, be a first year cadet. Don't jump the gun. You in first year, you have to be a first year cadet. In your second year, you're a second year cadet. And in your third year, you're a third year cadet. In your first year, it is all about the basics. You build a solid foundation, be it your drill, be it your service subject, be it rigging, whatever each service of NCC has. Be a first year cadet. And that is how I started preparing. So I didn't prepare directly for RDC, but in terms of holistic preparation, in terms of everything that was done, it contributed to my RDC preparation.
That's a very good point. Now, since GK is one particular subject which is a part of the exam, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, sir.
So, like, if you get an option to, or if you would like to give an advice to the first years, don't you think this preparing for GK today, like reading newspaper or yearbooks or some GK apps which are there, will it really help them along with their service subject, which anyway they will do it in the first year? So this GK, which I'm sure most of the cadets are weak. So will it help for the first years who would like to prepare for the RDC, BC competitions?
So for me personally, everybody has a different method of preparing. But for me personally, I was never a person who read the newspaper. Most of the news that I consumed was either online. I used to get it through Instagram, or I used to just go through articles of different of these websites. So when I learned that JK was an important part of the written exam, I didn't drastically, all of a sudden start reading the newspaper because I had faith in what my method of preparation was. So I used to go on all these websites which help you prepare for exams. And I used to just download a recap of the entire month. And I just used to read through that. I used to do online quizzes. So for me, somebody who never read the newspaper, I just resorted to using the internet because that was what I was comfortable with. That was a method which I was used to. But for somebody who's in their first year, I'd say developing the habit of reading the newspaper is fantastic for two reasons. First and foremost, because you're consuming a lot of good information, news, you're always keeping yourself up to date. And number two is because you have to improve your English, be it the best cadet competition or be it life or interviews in the future that you're going to face. English is incredibly important. And I just can't stress enough about that. Even if you can't speak fluently, having the ability to get your point across, that is something which you'll develop slowly by reading the newspaper. So for a first year cadet, definitely I'd say developing the habit to read the newspaper is important.
Good, nice. So very important point, ladies and gentlemen, because हर चीज बाकी जो भी चीज like for example service subject हो तो आप लोग you will be preparing it along with your first year, but GK is something. There are two ways. One is if you are a brilliant student, then you will make it. If you are a bit low in your GK or other things, pull up your socks from the first year, which is very important. सर्विस सब्जेक्ट तो बोलने की जरूरत नहीं. You will anyway in your first year you will somehow finish the book, so it is something very easy for you people. Very important thing is firing. So how would you like to give a bit of advice on firing, like how you were when you fired your first bullet, and in your first year, whichever camp you were, ATC or whatever, then when you moved on to your BC competitions, daily you will be firing some 200 bullets. So how would you like a bit of advice for those who would like to get to be a good firer? Amongst your 15 bullets, I think 5 are kneeling, lying and standing. So what is a
Yes, sir.
bit of advice that you would like to give those who are weak in firing?
So unfortunately or fortunately, in my year and the following year, firing was cancelled for the best cadet competition.
Oh, okay,
So the
fine.
first time I fired was actually after RDC.
Okay, fine. Anyway, guys, I was not aware of it. But for those who have not listened to me last time, uh, I was a washed out. I'm just adding a point to them who are now listening. I was a washed out cadet in my first firing. From there, uh, when you do the course of firing in your BC, you are daily firing some 100 bullets or so, which will make you a good firer. But the most important point here is Delhi, Jan month, the temperature is almost, maybe 2 degrees or 3 degrees, which is something which a South Indians will not be able to resist. So what happens here is you yourself will not feel your fingers. Very important point. You will be wearing gloves, this, that, you will do warm up, this, whatever. But most important point here is keeping your mind strong. I think you all have listened to my last conversation. Your mind, if your mind is strong, your body will automatically get into the shape. So adequate warm up, keep yourself mind strong, because this firing will turn you 180-degree. Everything will be, if you see your marks, you will see all everything. Service subject will be almost there, very close to your counterpart. GK almost same, everywhere it will be same, but firing will change the course of your entire BC competition. So if firing is restarted, is it restarted these days, or
I
is it?
think actually the previous year they had firing, but they didn't have it at Delhi. They had it up till Delhi.
Okay, fine. Anyway, don't worry, we will check up with the reason, guys. So firing is nothing, it's all the skill which you can earn through the course of your firing practice. We'll move on to the very important part of it, is interview, which almost everyone, which is a very simple thing, but you make it yourself tough for it. Because when you are sitting outside, you think something which is very tough, but it's actually easy. So let's hear from Anirudh how his interview was. Or let us start from how he prepared his course of interviews during his group level, directorate level, and because that is very important. Because if you don't get the adequate training for the interview, how to prepare for the interview, then it's not going to happen. So let's see how he prepared, or how uh, he made his interview part more easy.
So in terms of the interview, I've actually been through interviews prior to joining NCC in schools for various competitions and whatnot. So I definitely had that experience going into RDC. But I'd say my commanding officer at the time, Captain C. Suresh, he gave me a very concise overview of what the interview should be like. So he said the only thing you actually have to prepare for the interview is your self introduction, because almost every question that you get thereafter is going to be in some way related to your self introduction. So whatever I said, if I said my father's a doctor, then I should be prepared. Why didn't I become a doctor? What kind of doctor is your father? Where did your father study? What did he study? Why did he do it there? So you should know A to Z about yourself, because that is ultimately who they're interviewing. They're interviewing you as a person. Other facts, if you don't know something which is not related to you, it is understandable, because you can always check it up, you can always update yourself later on. But at the same time, not knowing something about yourself it's actually detrimental, because you have to know who you are as a person. Self introspection is very important. I'd say that is something which they focus on even in the services selection board. So when it came to preparing for the interview, the first thing I did was I truly understood who I was as a person. I wrote down everything about myself. If I made any decision in my life, I made sure that I had a proper rationale for it. Like I took that decision for a specific reason. Like for example, I studied computer science in 11th and 12th. After that, in college, I've done economics. Now I'm preparing to be a commercial pilot. So for somebody who's never seen this, they'll be wondering, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's just going all over the place. But for me as a person, as long as I'm convinced about what I'm doing, that is all that matters. So I'd say the toughest interview I had was at the group headquarters in Calicut during pre-RDC. There was Colonel Vijay Kumar, who was our contingent commander, and it was just 1 hour of non-stop questions. He would just ask me everything about myself. He'll ask me, why did you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why is your if your parents are a doctor, why aren't you a doctor? Oh, do you think being a doctor is a useless job? So obviously he's not trying to insult me. He's absolutely a gentleman, but he's just testing me. He's testing me to see if I believe what I'm saying. So having conviction in who you are, I'd say that's the most important thing in an interview. And again, there's no reason to be tensed. It is ultimately a conversation that you're having with an officer. Many people tend to get distracted by the uniform or the amount of pressure that officers are putting on them. But if you relax, if you see it as a conversation, if you see it as you're not there to impress them, they're there to find out about you and you're there to present yourself, I'll say you'll do wonders during the interview.
Sorry, I in between. So very important point. It's all about you knowing about yourself. I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you noted this point. It's more about you knowing yourself, because the interview is, it's around you. Or the entire questionnaire which he will ask is, because he has got his PIQ, he has got the entire information about you as a person. Now the questions will be like anything can be asked, even on your hobbies. If you have mentioned uh, reading books, be thorough about last book that you have read, or whatever it can be. If your father is so and so, know about that. If you have said your ambition is so and so, if you say about joining forces, so you should know each and everything about whatever you have prepared. And very important second point which Anirudh has said, many of you get tensed by the uniforms or the medals or whatever he is wearing. Just forget everything. Just try to get as much of interview as possible during your group level, directorate level, so that you get a hang of it. When you get more and more and more interviews during your group level, directorate level, that will make it more easy for you. Okay, it's a very good point. Thanks, Anirudh, for that particular session. Group discussion, wherein which many of the candidates get, again tensed, or get puzzled. So how would you like group discussion is a part of your BC competitions? Now, how would you like to, or what is a tip or advice that you would like to give them who are preparing for GD?
When it comes to the group discussion, obviously, first and foremost is having, I'd say, very thorough knowledge about the topic. And the only way you get that is through preparation. There's no shortcut to it. There's no point reading the headlines. It is all about understanding the topic, which you have to do prior to your best cadet competition. So today, just take any topic. If it's the Russian-Ukraine crisis, then you should understand the entire history of it. How did it begin? What was Russia and Ukraine way before all of this happened? How did the USSR dissolve? What transpired into this entire situation? So many people, when as in personally, when I noticed the group discussion, even at Delhi, everybody's just racing to get their points in. Everybody's trying to argue with each other. Everybody's trying to show off what their intellect is or how much they know about the topic. But look at the name of the competition. It's called group discussion. You're discussing the topic. Don't see it as a competition. Don't see it as an avenue to show, okay, I know so much about the topic, I know more than this person, but rather discuss the topic, take the topic forward. So I'd say the most important thing in group discussion is understanding that it is not a competition, it is a discussion. When you take any topic, understand what the topic is and discuss it with the other person. Don't try to one up the other person, don't try to point out everybody's mistakes, but rather see what the topic is and accordingly take it towards a conclusion. So for example, if they say should the Russian and Ukraine, should other countries intervene in the Russian and Ukraine crisis? Bring up the United Nations, bring up the role of the United Nations, bring up what we as a society are supposed to do. So these are the kind of things that go into a discussion. It is not only just spitting out facts, expecting to impress the officers over there. So I'd say discuss the topic, be comfortable in a group setting, and obviously be fluent and confident to speak in English.
Great, very valid points, gentlemen. Most of the candidates make this simple, silly mistake by, show off. They just want to show that I know everything. Rather than that, you discuss about the topic in a semi-formal manner, like you are discussing with a group, with your friends. If you do that rather than showcasing, that fetches more marks. And of course, the basic points when you're discussing, have an eye-to-eye contact with the entire group, have a loud voice, be confident in what you're speaking. These are the basic things that everybody will, as a invigilator, if he is checking, these are the points from just adding on to the points which Anirudh has said. Don't just showcase, don't just show off, discuss it, bring in the past, bring in the present scenarios, bring some statistics into it if you can, but don't bring wrong statistics. You will again show a bad impression. If you know the statistics, please put forth. So basic things about GD, very well said, Anirudh. Interview covered, firing you have covered, GD, GK, service subject to बोलने की जरूरत नहीं. It's your bread and butter, which you should know 100%. I should say. What else? Parade, drill. What you would like to, being a naval cadet and learning the army drill for the RDC. Of course, it is a challenge, but how would you like to, or a simple tip or an advice, how you can be a good cadet drill per se or POC per se? Some tips.
So when I was in my first year and I told my seniors, sir, I want to go for the Rajpath parade. That is my ultimate goal. They told me on my face that my drill is just not good enough. If I want to go for RDC, the only way I can go is through other avenues, such as the best cadet, where the parameters are much more different. So me being me, I took that very personally. I said no. I'll make sure my drill is improved. I'll work hard on this. So I'd say you don't have to wait for your parades and all that to start. Simple steps at home, just practicing at home, I used to close the door in my room and do my POC. My parents thought something was happening, but it was just all about having that drive to do it. Like sir said, it's all about preparation. And when it comes to RDC, there is nothing that you have to only go through the camps to prepare. You can start preparing right from your house, right from the room. So when I started preparing for my RDC, I'd say whatever I prepared began in the very room which I lived all my life. So prepare from your home. There are enough and more videos on YouTube. I'd say even the entire process of the best cadet competitions drill test is available on YouTube. Look at that. Ask for seniors to help you and guide you. And it is ultimately how much effort you put into it, you will get that many amount of, in terms of dividends, it'll pay it back to you. So definitely I'd say start at home. Don't wait for anybody to teach you.
Very nice. It's very valid point, ladies and gentlemen, because what happens is you guys prepare only during the time when you go for a parade. In a week, I think Saturday, Sunday is the only time. Saturday is the only time you do your parade. So that is only time you practice. But if you want to be a best cadet, like the way he said, you have to find extra time, room, your wherever you get a chance, you do the basics, correct your basics. That only in front of a mirror or with the guidance of a senior only you will be able to get it corrected. When your basics is correct, then add on to some style onto it, because the style will come. Don't get the style first, correct the basics first, then you get the style to it, because you need to have, when you are giving that dyna mode, bi mode, whatever, you need to have a bit of style also into it, but that comes only after correcting the basics. So practice it in your room, practice in your wherever you get an opportunity. Great. That's it. I think we covered almost the entire prep for a BC. Guys, you would like to ask any questions to Anirudh, because I just wanted him to cover how a person, how a cadet can. I'll just put in your chat box, okay? Whatever would you would like to ask Anirudh, maybe 5 questions. If all these, don't ask about whatever we have already and he has already answered. Just ask anything you would like to ask apart from this. Our this arena is for how you can be a, or how you can prepare well for a best cadet competition. Ask questions pertaining to that if anyone has got. Otherwise, Anirudh has almost covered all points which you guys need to concentrate if you are preparing. I'm looking into the chat box. Apart from those two, I haven't seen any chat box, any comments. Okay, so assume you guys don't have any questions. You guys are got whatever tips that Anirudh has covered. Is it good enough? You guys would like to know anything from him? I'll just wait for another a couple of minutes. I'm waiting for the chat box. Seems like everyone is sleeping. Huh?
No.
So can you tell us what? Ganesh Jha, batao. What do you want to? What do you want Arvind to tell you? सवाल पूछो. Ganesh Jha. That what problems do you face during the preparation? Yeah, did you face any challenges or any problems during your BC, the journey towards the best cadet? Have you faced any challenges or?
That's a very valid question, actually. I'd say based on the person, you'd face a different types of challenges. So for me, initially, I'd say when you begin on any sort of competition, such as the best cadet competition, it is very important to establish why you want to do it. Why do I want to become a best cadet? So having a strong reason why, that is, I'd say, very important throughout your entire journey, because that is what will carry you through the times when you feel like, when you don't feel like studying, when you don't feel like lifting your leg high enough during drill, when you feel like, okay, I don't want to say anything during this group discussion. Having that solid motivation, that is what gets you going. But I'd say more than motivation, it is having the discipline. So having a set routine, having having the mental strength to push yourself. So I'd say that is something which I actually had a tough time with when it came to pre-RDC, because that was the first time I'd actually gone out of my house for a long period of time. First time I was actually away from my parents at I'd say a pretty young and older age than most people who go to their hostels. So having that feeling of slight homesickness, and but ultimately, I'd say the motivation, I drew it from different sources. So I'd say I drew it from the fact that my seniors have invested so much in me. They want to see me succeed. All the officers have placed their trust in me. I need to be a good role model to my juniors. So having different sources of motivation, I would say, is definitely important, because that is what pushes you to excel. That is what pushes you to go beyond your limits. So I'd say that is a problem I faced. And when it came to Delhi, obviously the cold, being somebody from Kerala, where I'm dripping in sweat half the time, coming to a place where you're freezing from day to night. It was definitely a challenging task, but you just take it as a part and parcel of the experience. But yeah, like I said before, I'd say having a strong reason why, and having different sources of motivation along with discipline is what will keep you going.
Great. Very valid point. Ganesha, hope Anirudh has answered your query. It's a very generic statement, guys, because it's not that easy to become a best cadet. From 16 lakh plus NCC cadets, one from Navy, Army, Air Force, getting it, the cream of the cream. So you need to be mentally fit than being physically fit. So if you have made your mind strong enough, then half the journey is over. Anirudh is a live example in front of you all. So I hope there is no more questions. You guys are either sleepy or you have understood everything what he has said, and you guys are going to how to be mentally fit. Raghav Pawar, we will have a session on it. Don't worry. Okay, because it's not in one sentence. Neither Anirudh will be able to answer, neither me. We will have one session on mind training. Don't worry. Okay. But still, I'll tell you one important tip. Read motivational books, listen to motivational audios, videos. That's one way of being mentally strong. Okay.
So if I could add to that, I'd
Yeah,
say
please.
find good role models. I'd say have really good role models.
That's very important point, guys. Have a good mentor in your life. Have a good role model in your life. Get advices from them periodically, so that you get your course correction where you are going. If you are ambitious, if are you going in the right track, you will not be knowing it. The one who is guiding you will know it. So having this role model, and getting the correct guidance from the person who can guide you is very important. That's a very important point. And there was one more query I just saw. Some pressures you had in academics, life from a teacher's study. How did you tackle it and be a best cadet? Oh, wonderful question. Great. Let's listen to Anirudh for that answer.
Um, so I'd say going for RDC or any camp, it is understood that you will miss your exams. So I'd say more than teachers, my teachers didn't even know I was going for RDC. Obviously, it was, classes were online. They just assumed I was absent. I told my HOD, but surprisingly, my teachers didn't know. I'd say more than teachers, I had pressure from my parents. So academically, I'd say I'm a very average student, maybe slightly above average at times, but overall, I'm a pretty average student. So convincing my parents. So I'd say ultimately they just saw how obsessed I was with Best Cadet, how badly I wanted it, that they had no choice. In fact, my brother was supposed to get married when my Best Cadet competition was happening, and they postponed it just so that I could go for it. So I'd say it is all about. It's a very subjective question. I don't know what the scenario for you is, but ultimately it was. I was able to convince my parents, and I knew that once I go on this best cadet through this journey, I'd have to come back and I have to be accountable for myself. Because I'd say no matter what you become in NCC, you might become best cadet, you might go for your YEP, you might become XYZ rank. But if you don't have academics, nobody is going to look at you after you graduate, because you're a college student first and then you're an NCC cadet. You should not mix that up. You should not be an NCC cadet first and then a college student. So I'd say definitely take care of your academics. Convince whoever you're having trouble from that you will be accountable for your studies. And at the same time, like I said, depend on your classmates. Ask your classmates to help you out. Keep up to date with what is happening. And ultimately, when you come back, just finish your exams and study. So definitely, I'd say academics is important, not to neglect it, and carry it with you side by side.
That's great. Hope it's answered. Ladies and gentlemen, what took you to chase becoming a commercial pilot? Are you also looking? Okay, fine. Now you can answer that also.
So my plan was actually to join the armed forces, specifically the Air Force. But I do have like 0.5 in both my eyes. And LASIK is an option, but it was a risk which I didn't want to take, since my dad is an eye doctor. Even he recommended that I don't go ahead with it. So since flying is a passion of mine, I decided I'll do commercial flying. It's as simple as that.
Follow your dreams, gentlemen. So that's answered, right? Whomsoever has asked. Any more questions?
Is junior from college.
As you joined college. Anyway, great. So I think we have overshooted. We thought of just winding up in half an hour. It's almost taken 15 minutes extra. But still, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any queries, please shoot in the group. This group is made for you people to guide you, to mentor you to become best cadet, not only for NCC, but also in your life. Okay. So let's thank Anirudh for this wonderful 45 minutes that in his busy life, academic life, tomorrow he has got some exam, but still, I didn't know that, but still he has gave me the word last week that yes, he will be there. Hope it was worth listening to him. I enjoyed it. I cherished it because I like talking to people like these gentlemen. We will try to bring more and more such faces in front of you so that you get motivated and achieve your dream of becoming the best cadet. So thank you, Anirudh, for your wonderful, valuable 45 minutes with us. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, those who have been part of it, this journey, listening to Anirudh, thank you for your precious time. If you have any queries, please shoot up in the group. So let's have a wonderful night. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Anirudh. Take care. Bye-bye. Cadet Raghav, sorry, we've winded up the session. No more questions. Specific wing. What is the specific wing? Don't worry. I'll answer to you later. Okay. So thanks, Anirudh. Take care.
Yeah. Good night, everyone. All the best.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.